transitioning time. This is the DRK Child Show, Ask Dr. Child Show. I told you I do it two ways. I check. Sometimes people what's funny, people post messages everywhere but where they need to. I need you all to go onto my website, ChristopherChilds.com/free workshop. And there's a box at the bottom. I want to do a call-in show. No one else is doing a call-in show. It'd be so cool. Like, we had a call-in the first time, and we haven't had a call-in since. So I need y'all to post the questions. I promise I'm going to call you. Or I do you a favor. If you, like, some people are giving me questions like, I can't talk at that time, but here's my question. They go back and watch it. That's cool. I work with you. But some of you all are literally texting, calling me all day. I know you relaxing. Come on, be on the show, man. Be on the show. Be on the show with your boy. All right. So here we go. I got two, for the sake of time, I'm really trying to stay on time. I got 3 questions in the queue. But if I'm in real time. If you send me a message right now, and it's not like 50 messages, I'm going to call you on the show live, and we're going to do this live, but I'm trying to cut everything off at 12:30. All right, let's roll. As the arcade chat, I need to get some theme music. I'm working on some theme music. If you want to give me some theme music, shoot out, but you know I love tech, so I got stuff. All right, here we go. First question. Somebody was like, Chris, you're always touching your face. I'm at home. I don't wash my hands. This house disinfected. So, all right, it's probably a bad thing to do right now. That's funny to me. All right, here we go. Are standardized tests catching up to culturally responsive teaching anytime soon? This is a very good question that you've posed. The answer, no. All right, think about it like this. We don't even do culturally responsive teaching in the classroom like we should. So at this point, don't get twisted. I think it'd be great if it was testing, but we need to get in if we got it on the test, it will push the classes. That's just how we work. If it's on the test. But what's happening, the test makers, how culturally diverse do you think the test makers are? How culturally diverse do you think these publishers are that are making materials? Hearing crickets. So with that being said, even when let's say, Chris, we don't use a big publisher. Well, your curriculum writing teams, how culturally diverse are they? You cannot have non-diverse groups making cultural relevant materials, period. So we have to get out of that fallacy. I have a degree in curriculum and instruction. I can write good tasks. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying you cannot write great tasks for a non-lived experience. That's like me. I wrote a book. I co-authored a book. It's on the shelf. Making sense of teaching mathematics for girls. Guess what? I'm a co-author. My other co-authors are women. Because I remember I said I got this book. Somebody came up to me. What gives you the audacity to write a book about girls? I said, I got 2 daughters. And it's like, what gives you the audacity? I say, but my co-authors are women. They said, oh, cool. Let me get a book. And I respected that. The same thing with this culturally relevant piece. If you're writing curriculum and you look around the room when you're writing this curriculum and everybody looks like you got a problem. And when I say everybody looks like you, it could be all women. You got male students. It could be all brown people. You got non-brown people. It could be all black people. It could be all white people. If everybody, or this is a cool one. All right, Chris, we got one person to represent the Asian population. So you telling me there's one person in the room going to speak for everybody that's Asian? Come on, dude. Like, honestly, if I look at your materials and I don't see diversity represented in the authorship, I don't care what's in the inside. The same. That's real. It's not that hard to diversify who are the authors, who are the curriculum writers, when I say it's the stroke of a pen, literally is the stroke of the pen. But so back to the question, are standardized tests catching up to culture responsive teaching anytime soon? It's going to take you all as educators to push this stuff. And if you want to work with me, I do some advocacy work. I'm pushing, trust me, I'm pushing in the rural, because if you look at your NAEP testing data, any standardized testing data, the same subpopulation of students are not succeeding. That does not mean they're getting dumber year by year. That means the system wasn't designed for them. Part of it, look at the tasks that we use. We don't use tasks that involve everybody. We use tasks that are limited in their lens, in class, and definitely standardized exams. A lot of concepts we use, first, a lot of them are antiquated, and then the ones that aren't antiquated, they're built for certain people. So again, when you go into a room and make an educational decision about students, I want you all to be the voice. If everyone in the room is not representative of the students, you need to shut that meeting down. Shut it down. And then Chris, where I'm at, we don't have a lot of diverse representation. You got Skype, call in, like people can Zoom in, people can Skype in. You don't even have to pay them. Like, well, you got to pay them. Like, I don't want nobody saying you got to pay. If they're professionals and stuff, you need to pay consultants and stuff. Like, I don't want to get that room out there. Almost dodge a bullet. But you don't have to physically bring them. That's what I was trying to say. You don't have to physically bring them, but they can Skype in. Then some places I work, there's a predominantly it's like 99% of one race. Okay, within that 99%, guess what? We got male and females. That's a mix. We may have some students who are in impoverished situations. That's a mix. So we need to have all of those voices at the table as we make these decisions. And all this, Chris, I grew up poor. So I ain't trying to. I grew up poor. You know what it is. Okay. All right. Let me stop. I get on my soapbox. I go on, and I get hot. All right. For the second time, last question. We're gonna do 2 questions today. If somebody emails me right now or texts me right now, I promise you, I will. Oh shoot! Somebody did just send one in. Okay. All right. You about to get a phone call. Matter of fact. I got time. Answer this question, and then I'm about to call. So how do we best support students in an area who face poverty, trauma, irregular housing? Basics are missing not only in math foundations. Two things. First, understand for some people, school is like their safe haven. So that's one of the reasons, like, I'm glad schools are shut down because obviously, the social responsibility, less people are crowded, we slow down the virus. But for some people, it's their safe haven. So some students don't have a safe haven. With that being said, your job when they come to school, how do you provide them a high quality experience? When you provide them that high quality experience, that's how you're supporting them. Or are you making me come into there and be like, oh my gosh, another stupid lecture? Like, for real? Like, another worksheet packets? If I see one more person say they still on a worksheet packet for this break, man, I'm coming to your house and taking their worksheet packet. So that's how we best support students, providing them high quality experience, but also providing them experiences that can really engage them in the subject area and let them see how education can transform where they are. The second piece, how do we best support students? What are you doing for systematic change? We don't want to talk about race, religion, and politics in society. Those are the 3 areas we got to start talking about, even in educational environments at all levels, because those are the 3 most divisive pieces. And those are the 3 that are continually keeping these systematic inequities. So for me, right now, the big question was, if we close schools, students won't have anything to eat. And I was I was mad. I know some students only eat at school. In the same token, some people like, we need to donate to food banks. I say, oh, no, forget that. And they were like, Chris, it's a good thing to donate to food banks. My thing was this. Why the heck we got a food bank to start with? Crickets. Then some people hit me with, well, in the Bible, they said the poor will always be with you. Everybody don't read the Bible. So don't hit me with that one. So if let's say I'm a non-Bible reader, what's your argument? Why do I use religion? Because again, people don't want to talk about that. But that makes you think, why do we we should be able to have a community-oriented approach to our livelihoods. That ain't socialism is these big banks getting $1 trillion tax. That's socialism. But making sure everybody has what they need. I ain't say a bunch of excess. Everybody has what they need, to me, is a basic human right. So it's how do you fight for that within your school environment? So poverty does not exist, where students are in safe places. And with the housing thing, like, again, all right, I'll give y'all a quick history lesson, then I'm jumping to this call. So, Crystal, you on the dock. Hey, I only call once. I may call twice. So if you go to voicemail, I'm going to leave a funny voicemail and I'm going to hang up. I want you all to study the history of redlining. So if you wonder why we have Black communities and white communities, or poor communities and rich communities, study the history of redlining in the 60s. That's when you'll find out why we have irregular housing. That's when you'll also find out how certain groups of people got access to housing, got out of the lower level class. They even got access to apartments to begin with. Then from that, there were government-backed programs to give them access to housing. That's how they moved to the suburbs, and they left Black and brown and poor people behind. And now, though, that was in the 60s. So think about it. You've had generations after that. Those generations have benefited from redlining and those government-funded programs that others were locked out of. And now we're saying, oh, you got to work hard by your own bootstraps. That's why you all need to push for better curriculums, because that's the type of stuff we need to be teaching, and not this crap about, hey, do you know Pythagoras theorem? Man, anybody. All right. Ooh, I love this show because I can say what I want, do what I want. In a workshop, I'm more subdued. I have on my suit, may have on a bow tie. But I'm going to call Crystal. Crystal going to ask her a question. Crystal, be prepared to ask it out loud. Got to find my voice thing. This is cool. Y'all gonna be jocking like after a while, when this show ends, because we go back to reality, y'all gonna like, Chris, why we don't I want to call in? Y'all had your chance. Let's see how this works. All right. I'm purposely trying to move my phone so you all don't see the person's phone number. Actually, I need to read the question to make sure I know what you're talking about. Ooh, boom. This is a good question, y'all. This is a real good question. Also, when I call you all's number, don't try to save this number and call me back later. I'm not answering. I don't answer phone. Actually, the number I'm calling y'all from, I don't answer. So if you call it back, it's gonna go to voicemail. And if you look at my main personal phone, the other day I realized I had 200 voicemails. It was over 200, and they were recent voicemails, like 200. Okay, I'm fangirling right now. Hey, Crystal, welcome to the Ask the Arcade Child show. Hey. All right, you got to ask your question, Crystal. Where you calling in from? Say it one more time. I'm sorry? Where are you calling in from? Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio in the house. Hey, if you from Cincinnati, y'all shout out on the somebody gonna tap in this thing in chat now. I'm gonna take it down. Y'all go online. All right. So Crystal, what's your question? It's it's on the same page on my web page. Oh, you're talking about the minute chat? Yeah. Yeah. All right. I need to be specific, don't I? Yeah, I need to be more specific. Right. Yeah. I got student-led direction. All right. I'm gonna get somebody to work on that for me. All right, we're gonna change it. I'm making like something else cooler, but for now. All right, go ahead with your question. Okay, so I am wondering, how are we going to make changes based on what we're noticing in this digital world to make systematic or systemic changes, and how can we do that in our classrooms to make it spill out into just the overall systems? Because I'm finding that I have students that are afraid to voice their opinions, especially in math, because they've been shut down in the past. Telling them that their thoughts are wrong because it doesn't lead to the answer that we're looking for. All right, good question. So stay on the line. I'm going to repeat it because I don't know how good it's coming through the microphone. So her question is basically looking at how do we make systematic change in regards to students, especially thinking about what is happening now in this world. Because let's look at what's happening now. Everybody's like, let's go digital. Man, do y'all realize how many people don't have access to Wi-Fi, don't have access to computer, don't have access to technology? Like it's in it. I would venture to say half the population does not have access to it, like steady access. What does that mean? About half of our students, all those digital assignments y'all creating, they can't do. So when we start thinking about systematic change, how we deliver instruction, one of my things that I'm working on, I'm telling people to do, because a lot of people have reached out to me, what are some things we can do? Think about some community-oriented projects that students can do. Here's one. I may have did this one yesterday, so if you've heard me say it, indulge it, and then I give you another. What if before this virus hit and schools got shut down, students were making slime? Recently, like a year ago, slime was the hottest thing every student was making. What if we taught students in class how to make hand sanitizer? To me, I don't need no computer for that. I just need a couple ingredients, probably from the Dollar Tree, and I can maybe making hand sanitizer for my community. To me, that's systematic change in showing what does math look like, because everybody gonna have a different recipe. It's not just, did I get the answer? Then the question is, how does that translate into the classroom? We have to get beyond math at the worksheet. in science class, you do experiments. In math class, we do worksheets and textbook. I will pull up a textbook, but then some publisher hit me up. Why you use our textbook like that? So I ain't got time for y'all today. But in math class, we need to make math real and relevant to the students and how does it impact their community. So one of the big pieces I work on is teaching math for social justice. And I look at not only can we do math in class, but can we take it outside of classroom and impact the communities? What do I mean? For example, think about, this is a perfect timing. Students did not have, most schools are open because students don't have access to healthy food or food at all. I've been talking about this for like 2 years now. And one of my schools in Atlanta does this. I'm gonna bring on the podcast to talk about one. Not, I'm saying the podcast. I'm feeding them live. Whichever the two I'm gonna bring out. But what she does at her school, they develop a community garden. With this community garden, they do science and math. They do all subject areas in the community garden. So the whole theme is community gardens. With that said, so now you do math in the community garden, it becomes real. I'm not just in class with some arbitrary rule of measuring what's the length of the desk. Like, when the heck you gonna measure the length of the desk? Like, for what? But I'm actually measuring growth rates. I'm seeing how the soil. I'm seeing the size, measuring, making flower beds with measurements. So now math becomes real. Now, what's even cooler about that systematic change? We're in a time right now. We don't have a food shortage, but access to food. I got a community garden. My school is closed. Community garden is still growing. Boom. People got access to food doing this. So for me, it's that innovation of what is school and going beyond a worksheet, and not just, I tell y'all, I say this till I'm blue in the face. If I get an email from my kid's teacher, he go like 50 practice problems, I'm throwing it, I'm having a bonfire. But if she sends me an email, hey, Chris, see if your daughter can build ... out of some household items, that's cool. So when we think about, back to Crystal's original question, thinking about systematic change and then increasing students' thinking, that's where it's at. It's being innovative with what we're teaching. We're still teaching the math, we're still teaching the standards. We're just taking these mundane, crappy worksheets, but actually doing something that's applicable to students in their lives. Does that make sense, Crystal? Crystal, you still on there? Crystal hung up, y'all. I tried. This is the As the Arcade Child show. I got things to do. Hit me up on social media platforms. I appreciate all of you and what you do. I'm out.